a little sneak peek, but I'll try and get to these at the end, but they want to be in the video now. There's some of my prototype discs. Okay, let's jump right into it and take a look at my entire mint disc collection. I'm going to probably just go through each of these one by one, kind of show some of my favorites, explain maybe some of the runs that I have a lot of or too many of in some cases, chime in on how I built a collection this big, kind of what drew me to it, what kind of got me started collecting mint or just really get into mint. But jump right into it. Starting up top left, you can't see all of them because it kind of goes into the closet, but I've got my favorite putter from mint, a lot of bullets. So Sublime bullets. So Sublime bullets are one of those things really sought after. I got into mint after they were really out, but then fell in love with one of them that I threw, and as you'll see the theme in this, once I really like a disc, I'll try and collect a bunch more of them. This one's not in my bag anymore, so it's one of those discs where I have plenty of them, but it's doesn't get thrown a ton. But I might put them back in now that I found some heavier weight ones. But yeah, here's probably one of my favorites there. Just a taco stamp on it. The colors on these are also not ideal. I mean, this one's kind of fine, but a lot of them came in this greens and purples, and they like to get lost in the woods, especially the one that used to be in my bag. And then another one I just don't have a ton of, so hasn't really made my bag. Just first run Eternal bullets. Then I got a few Apex up here. And then the bullet that really made me fall in love was the first run Glow. I at one point got down to a few of these, and then I lost my really beat up one, and I said never again. And so I went and bought a few pretty used ones off of people. I got a few bullet train, actually quite a few bullet train stamps, and then some other fun stuff in here. So here's like a Shiner fundraiser at one point. Got a few of those off of someone. Okay, I'm gonna play the don't drop frisbees in this video game. Down here, just a few second run Glow bullets. Those have cooler stamps, but I think actually I'm throwing one of those in my bag because I lost one over the break. And then here was another really good run of bullets. This is the Eternal Flex bullets. These are probably the most stable, I mean, definitely the most stable bullet, so really enjoy these. They beat in, goodness. The theme of this, you'll see, try and collect a lot of money foil, especially on things I want to throw, or just, if I have a choice, find the money foil. Shout out to people in the mint shop right now, especially Weston. He will set stuff aside for me, and even when I don't need something, he's like, oh, it's got money foil, and my terrible person, I will end up buying it. Just over here, I have a few UFOs. I never really putted with them, so some from when they first dropped. And then I used to throw these. In fact, one of my ace discs is in here somewhere. Yeah, there it is. This is my third ace on Northtown hole 12, so kind of just keep that on the shelf as a backup thrower. Got some cool, there's a cool armory stamp there. Live oak, hot, normal stuff. Yeah, the Glow UFOs. Kind of like them. They go in and out of my bag depending on how I'm feeling. Lassos are next. Sorry, got quite a few. This is one of those runs where like they came out, and at the time I was trying to collect like every stamp the mint dropped. But then these Flex Lassos and other things were a great example of just they ran so many stamps, and that's when I quickly learned like I can't collect every stamp. That would be insane. So now I kind of pick and choose some of my favorites. I might make a separate video of that going over my top 5 to 10 mint stamps because they've got quite a few good ones, and some of my favorites are the rarer ones that are kind of hard to find that they run off one-off customs. Another disc that's in my bag that I'm going to try not to drop. The obviously elusive Glow Lassos. This is another one where I think I bought a few on release and then fell in love with it pretty quickly, and so try to grab up a few more just so never run out of these. This is one of those discs I would love to see another run of, but until then, got plenty of backups to play around with them. These are more Lassos. These are the Royal Soft that just dropped recently, and I got the Sublimes that are down here. Again, nice money foil. Next, one of the newer disc mints released. It's just got a bunch of Pickles. So, if you didn't know, when I first grabbed these, got my hands on the Apex Pickles, I immediately noticed like the whites were for some reason, one, they were the lightest weight ones, so like 170. And I believe they have a little more flex or a little more grip to them. So I've enjoyed throwing these, and so when I liked the whites, I stocked up on a few. And then here's one I unfortunately missed the stamp party, but Ephraim was kind enough to grab another very rare Mega Soft Apex. So these are technically all first run Apex, but this one is much more flexible even than these white ones that I've got. I got a few other ones down there too. So this one kind of in my bag, and then some Sublime Pickles in there. Down here in the bottom, we've got some Profits. I used to not like the Profit when it was out in Sublime. Wasn't really torque resistant for me, and just never really found a slot in my bag. I threw the bullets most of the time. I never putted with these, so don't have a ton of those there. But I did really enjoy the glow profits. So again, here you got 2 money foil stamps, but a few more down there. I'm not going to pull them out. I keep dropping some when I try and grab a whole handful. But got a few of those down there. It's one of my go-to approach discs. You can kind of throw them on forehand if you have a smooth forehand, but I throw them on backhand a lot to approach. Like I kind of mentioned with the lassos, it kind of brings me to my first reason my mint collection has gotten so big, especially in the late 2022, 2023, when I was really kind of started getting into collecting or buying a bunch of discs. I had the goal of collecting every stamp. Luckily, I quickly learned that was unfeasible, so slowed down a little bit, but you can tell, and I'll point out some of these runs. There's a little foreshadowing when I get to the tacos, quite a few of these, where it's like they released so many stamps, and I was like, oh, that one's cool, that one's cool. And before you know it, you've got quite the stack. Getting into the first one, where start to have some older ones. So all these shelves are like my throwers and backups. And so I also like to test discs and review them. So you might have seen some of my videos like comparing older ones. So I've tried to collect pretty much every run. In fact, I think I do have somewhere, either in my bag or in here, every single run and every plastic and stuff of every mint disc. So that like when mint drops, let's say another Bobcat, I can go test it against things like a first run Apex, first run Eternal, things like that. So a few first run Apexes in here. This is a really cloudy, chalky first run Eternal. Also, for some of the older stuff, I've never bagged it because I kind of got into mint way after they were kind of in their prime. But some of the older things, I have a few old ones. So Bobcat's a good example. And then the rest of the Bobcats, missed out on the first run of Glow. I have a few in my collection, but mostly just have the second run Nocturnal. Here's a nice custom one that Mitch made for me for my dog. Chuma approve. D didn't make it, but I think it's even funnier now. A few team stamps. Been on the team for about 2 years. My trophy's around here somewhere. So you'll start seeing some of those if I pull out the right discs. I'm kind of randomly slotting through them. Like I was saying, the tacos. Just a few Apex tacos. So this was one where I really enjoyed the taco when I first got it, and then they dropped so many stamps, and so next thing you know, I have a stack. So if anybody's looking for some tacos, hit me up. Honestly, anything in this video, if you like it, I need to start selling some. More to free up space for more frisbees, but also I don't think I'm ever going to throw 20 tacos. Okay, next down here, another one that I've got quite a few old ones comparing. Here's a first run Eternal Mustang, some second run Eternals, second run Apex, one of the better ones. Sounds like my wife's home. And Alan Jansen knows, but I got quite a few. I tried to collect the best run of Mustang ever. The second run Apex. There's some nice swirls. They beat in to be pretty straight, but you can get them to be flippy, but they never get too flippy, and they kind of hold their stability for the longest time without being too stable. So it's definitely a run I enjoy a lot. Here's a really cool swirly one. And then another run that I just grabbed quite a few of, almost too many. These second run Sublime. Again, they dropped a bunch of cool stamps with these. I think this is when they were first playing around with the UV glow. It's a cool, pretty. The swirls are also nice on that. It's a nice live oak one. But this was a disc, like right when it came out, a lot of people were like, oh, this is the most stable Mustang and things like that. And at the time, that's what I thought I needed. This came out a little bit before the Taco, I believe. So I was still kind of looking for that. Something more stable than a Mustang, but not quite a Bobcat. So I have a few of those when I was trying those out. They've gone in and out of the bag, but haven't bagged them in a while. This is one of the favorite discs that came out in 2025. The Nocturnal Flex Mustangs. These are actually the most stable Mustang, in my opinion. And they have a little bit less glide, so they're a lot more controllable for me. It's a nice triple foil with some, once again, money foil in it. Next up, the disc I just keep buying because, one, it's fantastic, and two, it's a good disc to give away to people, or people are usually looking for them after the runs, and they kind of go really fast, is my Lobsters. I think I have 1, 2, 3 whole shelves of Lobsters down here. So I got some of these first run, pretty beat in. Probably got a mystery box somewhere in here. Yeah, some mystery box Lobsters, all the way regular first run Sublime. I put the Royal Soft ones up here. I have a few because I was originally going to make them my C2 putter. So I haven't fully experimented with that, so that's why I have a few. Might do that. Then we got second run Apex. This is the one that's been in my bag for a while. Got a nice, pretty black one there. That's pretty cool. So these kind of beat into, they spin really well, especially if you give them spin. They'll kind of just drift right. So I really like the second run. And then second run Sublime, they fly very similar to second run Apex, so I have a few of those. Some cool stamps. Here's one with the misprint on it. The blue and red goes well as well. I think this one's a cool bottom stamp. Yeah, nice little bottom stamp, money foil, taco riding a lobster, nice teal color. And then we got the first run glow lobsters, first run eternal. So these, I think I got the pretty ones. This is the one that they came out all the different variants, including the doo-doo gambler roll. So got a few of those, and then down here we got third run Sublime, pretty stable lobsters, second run glow, second run Flex Eternal. These are also pretty stable lobsters. And then these are my favorite. I haven't quite fit one in the bag yet, but I want to kind of work it in this year. These third run Apex, really pretty swirls in this run. I say these fly like a lobster, kind of like this second run Apex flies like a Mustang. Like they definitely still have the lobster flip, but they're not quite as flippy, and they're not stable. So, I guess they're the most workable lobster for me. Like, you can get easy distance, they glide forever, but they're not going to roll on me, and they're not going to be too beefy. So, really enjoy those. Going to probably try and work them into the bag this year. Next up on this bottom shelf down here, have probably the second most, if not the new most favorite mint disc, especially outside of Austin, is the Salamander. So down here I've got a few of the first run. This is a funny one. I'll show that one in a second. Few of the first run Eternal Flex. This was another mystery box run. So I've got one of the mystery box stamps. The first one I was testing. This is one that was in my bag for a while until it was at the bottom of the behemoth for a little bit. I was trying to do this cool custom stamp and forgot to mark my disc. And so as you can see, it was going to be mint team and it shifted up. And so now it's just, so I threw it in the bag because it's funny and cool and still love the colors on it. And these were money for a while. This one, once it went in the pond, I kind of replaced it with something else. And so I haven't quite put the second run or the first run Eternal Flex back in the bag. Got some Apex, some Sublime, I believe somewhere. These are pretty sought after. I actually got two cool stamps on these Sublimes. So this one was a cool Wolfpack stamp that they did for the ladies of the Wildflower Tour at one of the Wildflower events. So I really like that one. Nice and domey Sublime. And then, not to be too foreshadowing, but like a pretty consensus top stamp from Mint. These did really well. This is Zam Weird Line, the little like salamanders in a trench coat. So got two of these on the shelf for now. So Sublime. And then second run, which oddly enough, I guess I just didn't order these because I don't love the lightweight salamanders, but just one of the second run lightweight salamanders. And these just came out like this time. So here's a cool money foil. This is the second run Eternal. I only have a few of these stock stamps down here, but had a few pizza boxes. So that's a foreshadowing for probably what's going to be the second part of this video. And I'll actually go through my, not that this isn't my collection, but most of these are kind of throwers and backups and stuff like that. But I've got my real gems, as you could say, or whatever. That's some of my favorites. They're in my garage, put away in boxes. So third run lightweight, those just came out as well. And then some of my favorite salamanders. These Apex Swirl, technically second run, although some of these, probably don't have any here. Some of these, if you're quick enough, Zach accidentally stamped with a third run emboss, or embossed with the third run. But yeah, some nice Sprinkle Valley stamps here. Again, beautiful swirls in this run. And this salamander is the closest one to what I would say like flies like a lobster. When I say that, I mean like obviously easy flip and some turn, but like it won't burn over. It'll kind of just glide to the right and hold that line for a while and then finishing at the end. So I can throw these like a longer lobster shot. And that's why I really like the swirly one. And then after salamanders, we've got some grackles up here. Quite a few first run Sublime. I was throwing a little bit farther. These were nice for when I didn't want an alpha to go 320, 340. I could throw these to kind of stay in that 280 to 300 range, but lately with my arm being a little weak, these don't see the bag very often, especially these Sublimes. Something I do wish I had more of to kind of feed in the bag is these nocturnal grackles. One of the reasons I won't kind of have too many of these discs in my bag is when I get down to, if I only have one, I don't like bagging things that are really hard to find again because, one, you can usually find another mint disc that kind of fits that line. So I'd rather find something and learn something that's really similar that I can get more backups of. But this was a super fun run of grackles. Then we got the more recent grackles, so these heavy and lightweight. So when I say that on these are actually interesting. Grabbed a lot of these purples. I found the ones that were like under 170, so like this is 166 and 167. These went a lot straighter out of the box. So that's kind of what people say they have a grackle for, and what I was looking for. So this is a cool quadruple Peace Park Taco money foil one. Pretty sure I did at one of the stamp parties. And then the heavy ones, they're still nice, but a little more stability, a little more dome. So I tend to prefer the lightweight ones. Mentioning stamp parties actually brings me to my another reason kind of why my collection's gotten quite large and why I have some pretty cool stuff in here. Is just like I was just showing with this grackler. I'll find another example. Let's see. No, I'll talk about this one. Just the ability to get one-offs where either a stamp party are kind of able to stamp your own thing, make it your own, or Guy or Taco a lot of the times will put these gems either from his Freeze collection or he made a one-off, or when he was testing them, he'll put them in the Sprinkle Valley store. So I live about 2-ish minutes away from Sprinkle Valley, both the course and the mint store. And so every now and then when I go by there, you'd find like one of ones that's kind of sitting on the shelf. So I've amassed quite a few of those just by stopping by at the right time. I think at this point the secret's out, so I don't mind talking about it. But I used to kind of keep that on the down low because it was a great way to get really cool gems. And then stamp parties is another way of kind of racked up quite a few frisbees, because when you get to pick the exact disc, pick your foil, all that stuff, makes it easier to make some custom ones that look cool. Another one, this is a funny story. So I really enjoyed throwing the first run Sublime Jacks, but this was a disc that came out before I really started collecting or really even knew about mint. And so once I got my hands on one of them from somebody, I really enjoyed it. And so I stocked up on quite a few. I've gotten rid of some of them, thankfully. This is just a few of them. But right when I got a bunch of these, because they were kind of seen as the more stable jackalope, they released the second run, which flew just like that, except for obviously easier to get and getting them at retail price. So that was one of my mistakes of stock up on something because it's old and I thought it was not going to come back soon, and then they immediately dropped another run. So not much I can do about that. Then here's some of the older jacks. This is a nice domey, cool color, brightish lime green. More jackalopes down here. And so yeah, here was that second run that I was talking about. This is a cool USWGC DGC champion for Steph Vincent. This is a really cool stamp. Nice disc, nice silver. These Sublime Flex jackalopes. And then yeah, they ran glow jackalopes in that run. Got a few of those in here. Some of these came out very domey. I can find one. Yeah, like the dome on this thing. Really enjoyed those. Those were bombers. Still got one or two of those in my bag, I believe, right now. It doesn't get a lot of love. Again, with my arm being slower and stuff, the Salamander's kind of taking a lot of the shots that I used to throw the jackalope, but a little faster, a little more stable, so workable fairway. Okay, and then speaking of jackalopes and my bag, we get down here to the ones that came out last year that I really enjoy. These soft Apex jackalopes. Not quite like, I mean, they got some bend to them, but really grippy, feel really good in the hand. I really enjoy these. Similar to how I was kind of talking about, I keep comparing things to the swirly lobsters. You get some easy flip on these jackalopes, but reliable fade, and so they're great for kind of throwing on hyzer flips and getting them to go dead straight. So I've really been enjoying these Apex soft jackalopes. So I've a few of these in here. Now we're getting to the Diamondbacks. So Diamondback is another disc that's kind of hit or miss for most people. I swear with these first run Apex, there was a few where you could actually get one that flew like -2-2, but then some were almost beefier than alphas. So I could never really figure out what it was. It was a combination of colors and weights, but I think these, obviously the flatter ones were a little more stable, but if you get some with a little bit of dome, they actually would flow like the -2-2. But what definitely beats in to fly more like a -2-2 is this run of swirly Diamondback. So got a cool, the Ouroboros stamp on there, also money. I think this was one I went back and did at a stamp party after the fact. And then I got some other swirly ones in here because this was one that I fell in love with, the one that's beat into my bag, and I was like, I got to get more so I can start cycling through. Haven't quite had time to cycle all of them through, but these get a good bit of love. Some, again, cool swirls, nice dome on these, and they fly kind of what a Diamondback is supposed to fly like. Another Diamondback that flies like they're supposed to, if I can reach back in here, these lighter weight flatter of the Eternal Diamondbacks. These were pretty pretty nice because, again, they were easy to kind of get some turn out of, but then they come back with that heavy finish. So that's a cool Sprinkle Valley one there. And then the heavier ones of that run are down here. They were more like a longer alpha. Pretty stable, but pretty fun to throw. Speaking of alphas, a disc that I probably have the most shelves of compared to maybe the Lobster. Definitely a disc I have the most of. But I've got, again, like, I think they stop up here, so like 2.5 shelves of alphas, including just a few first runs. You got the first run Nocturnal, the closed jar alpha, first run Sublime. This one's seen some things, so it's pretty beat in. Still flies nice. Recently picked up some of these. The first run Apex, nice dome, really good feeling in the hand. And then here's first run Eternals. Also just got another one of these. So finally starting to get enough of the older alphas that I might be a maniac and try to bag them. Probably not. I really like the alphas in my bag now, but I've heard really good things about those early runs. So might expand them beyond just using them for comparison videos and try and throw a really old one in my bag. Got some Royal Alphas down here. Those are also pretty sought after and fun to throw. Don't love throwing Royal, but they're great for what they do and just being beat up. All the other runs of Alphas. Nice cool team stamp, quadruple stamp on that one. Obviously I got later, but it's on the team, so doesn't feel as dirty having it. These like, this is what I call like the heartbeat Alphas. These third and some of the fourth run, third run and fourth run Alphas were just a major heartbeat on those. So those are nice and fun. I don't think I'm putting everything back in the right order, but I will clean this up later. Fifth run Swirly, some nice Skullboy Alphas on these. Fireman, regular Sublime, fifth run Sublime Alphas. Fifth run Eternal. These are actually ones that are in my bag, if I can grab one of them. This second run of the Spinosaurus. These are cool. This one doesn't have as much dome, but I really enjoyed this run. Pretty stable. If you get some of the dummy ones, they have more glide and things like that. But a good run of alpha, fifth run Eternal, currently in my bag. Another disc that I have way too many of. I think they also just made a lot of them. The fourth run Apex alphas. These are great discs, and there's still one in my bag, but I think I've got like 15 or so down there. So these are really stable, feel good in the hand. Once you beat them in, and go straight a little bit, but reliable fade. One of the more stable alphas, at least with the recent runs. So I enjoy those for shots where maybe a normal person would throw a Phoenix, but I can kind of just forehand this alpha. It brings me to one of my favorite runs of alphas, also indicated by how many of them I have. The 6-run Sublime. So if you can find the purple and some of these blurple ones with the really big dome, these are the alphas that I throw. That the one that's beating my bag goes super straight. So this nice blurple, nice dome there. These are really fun. Also, I really enjoyed this Mason Forge stamp with the kind of wolf hiding under his logo and then the different moons. That one's a fun stamp. There's another one. But yeah, if you can find mostly the purples and blues, some of the other ones, but really just look for ones that have a good bit of dome. They'll beat in pretty quick to be one of the straighter alphas, if not kind of flippy. At least, again, of their recent runs. I'm not super knowledgeable on the super old runs of alphas. And then coming up here, we have fifth run Apex. Got a few of these because they had cool stamps, but generally they fly almost identical to the fourth run Apex. It does have more of those. Similar theme here. Seventh run Sublime. Cool Mason Ford logo. But I found they flew a little too similar to the sixth run, although they have a different hand feel. So I prefer the kind of domey one because I throw them more on backhand, at least those alphas. But the seventh run, if you're a forehand player or you like kind of a flatter feeling disc, they have a different hand feel, but I think fly similar to the sixth run Sublime. So a pretty straight run of alpha. There's a cool little taco stamp. These sixth run Eternal Flex, one of the only flexy alphas, so those are nice. This is another disc that sometime this year I might try and throw into the bag, but this third run Nocturnal alpha, pretty beefy, but like you can get them to throw straight, and I imagine if you beat them in, they would be pretty reliably straight with some reliable, understandable fade. These also had some cool stamps, so I might try and work one of these into the bag if I can hold a fourth or fifth alpha. With the glow alphas, as I said, hadn't even made my bag, and you see I have quite a few of them over here. It's another way I've kind of collected quite a lot of mint is usually when they'll do a drop, I'll order some, either a discount in our team portal, or I'll just order a few on the drop. And since it's kind of random when you order online, a lot of them I'll just order enough And then whichever colors and things I don't like, I'll keep the ones that are really cool. This is a custom one from a stamp party. And then I have plenty to give to others, eventually sell. I give away a lot of CTPs, so I like having options so I can keep kind of the better ones for my collection. But in general, especially some of these more recent drops, you'll see I have quite a few of them because I either thought I was going to like them and needed a lot of backups, or they're a disc that I know is going to be really easy to give away to people or to sell later down the line. This latest run of Sublime, really stable, really cool stamps. So I have quite a few of these. The swirls, kind of like going back to the Sublime bullets, not the best swirls. You can find a few that are good. There's a lot that look like the ground, so that's the kind of one downside to them. I've got one of those in my bag with the ring of bats, but I have quite a few of those because again, stable freetail, kind of hard to find sometimes, and so I really enjoyed those, and they'll stay in the bag for a while. Yeah, second run Apex freetail. These were in my bag as kind of my like roller freetail or my really flippy freetail, but then those have been replaced by the new lightweight freetail. These things are easy rollers, and so I have them now in my bag, especially since I'm not throwing very far right now. I can still kind of get these to roll or just easily bomb. A really nice, cool purple money foil Sprinkle Valley stamp on that one. So yeah, these are the new lightweight freetails. I got some glow freetails in here. Crazy fountain stamp. Cool, like yin and yang bats. Got quite a few of those. Again, came out recently. Don't know when they'll do another run of glow freetails. And again, they had a lot of cool stamps in that run. Lightweight. And then these are the more recent ones. Also, the Eternal freetails. These are also pretty beefy. I might put one of these in the bag, kind of where that Sublime run is, but since I have so many Sublime, I'm kind of keeping that in there. I might cycle them out, but cool stamps on these. I got my team box recently. Just guy went crazy on the Mint team logo, just swirled it around there. So I really like that one. I want to try and find a reason to throw that in the bag. So now we'll get into what I think is still my favorite Mint disc. And so it is also in the running with 2.5 shelves, is the Longhorn. So I got a few old ones over here. Here's a nice first run Apex that feels kind of sublimey, so kind of a blend. But this is a nice old disc at this point. And then my favorite run of Longhorn. Make sure I'm pulling the right one. This first run Sublime, specifically like these blue domey blurple ones. This is one where I fell in love with it, and then just immediately tried to buy up as many as I could off the like kind of collectors markets and things. So I've amassed enough to feel safe that I won't lose all of them. Nice stacks of first run Sublime Longhorns. But this is a disc I also actually lose the most. A lot of my backups, I say I need backups, and then there are discs it's like really hard to lose. There's not a lot of water around here. I generally play similar courses and know my shot, so I'm not losing too many discs. But for some reason, I think I've lost like 3 or 4 of the like Blurple Sublime Longhorns. So if anybody's got any of those, hit me up. I always take more, or I can even trade you other colors if you prefer those. But yeah, those just attract water, and for some reason, those sometimes be a little flippier than I'm expecting, and I'll lose track of them, and they're gone. So glad I have plenty of backups there. Some second run Apex, another run that's pretty sought after, and I enjoyed for a little bit, so I collected a few of them. Is these first run Eternal Longhorns. I got some pretty ones in here, but something I didn't have until recently, which I've learned is kind of the reason people talk about the Longhorn, is the orange run. So here's a nice beat up one that I kind of slapped a custom Halloween jackalope stamp on it. I got a few others in here. Yeah. These are bomber runs of Longhorns. So this orange, really stable, but a lot of glide, good dome. I've got a few Eternal Longhorns. And if you want the beef, these Nocturnal Longhorns are super beefy. I had some of the first runs, but they just might be in the garage or in my bag. I don't know where my testers are, but I had some of the first run, but this is the second run of Nocturnal Longhorn. Both plenty of beef. Getting into another run that I think I've fallen in love with pretty much just about every run of Longhorn at some point. These third run Apex swirls, especially when you get these domey ones, really stable, but still a little bit of flip. So this is kind of, again, I was never a huge destroyer thrower because as I was getting into disc golf, I really just started only throwing mint and only buying mint. So good for my wallet. Very smart early decision. But these fly closest to what I've heard people like talk about destroyers. So a lot of people knock Longhorn for being a little too flippy, but I think this third run Apex swirl run, very close for that. Like can get some easy flip up, especially when they beat in, but they're always going to come back unless they're like completely beat in. I think that's one of my favorites. Yeah, look at this nice with colors in the taco throwing the frisbee, like that one. And then if you get some of the lighter weight ones, the flatter ones, they're also pretty flippy and they fly like a longer Diamondback in my opinion. So here's another run that I thought I was going to like because everybody kind of talked them up, and they dropped a bunch of cool stamps. But this third run, Sublime, I think third run, second run, Sublime Longhorns. Again, cool stamps. Some of them had some dome, but they were just a little too beefy for me. And again, similar to I think these alphas between the 6th and 7th run Sublime alphas, these fly like some of the other Longhorns, but they're like a little, for the most part, way shallower or way flatter, and not my favorite disc to hold in the hand. So again, got way too many of these in the cool stamps and just haven't had the opportunity to throw them all. So if anybody's looking for second run Sublime Longhorns, hit me up, or I might drop some soon on a whatnot or something. Okay, and now here's the run that I thought I had enough of, but now as I sit here, I still wish I had more. Fourth run Apex Longhorns. These are the bomber disc. I think I got 2 or 3 of these when they first dropped. Immediately went to a field to throw them and threw 30 feet farther than I usually was throwing Longhorns at the time, and so I immediately went and collected as many as I could. These also came out around U.S. Women's, so some pretty cool stamps in here. Can't quite find my bottom stamp, but the nice swirls in that one. This run had a lot of these like pinkish swirly gray ones and a ton of green. So if you ever wonder why a lot of people have these green 4th run Apex Longhorns, I think it was by far the most frequent color in that run. But these are bombers, almost a little too flippy, so I bought a bunch too so I could kind of cycle them out and none of them would get too flippy. So I've had 3 or 4 of those in my bag over the time that they've been out, kind of try and keep them not too beat in. Latest run of 5th run Apex Swirl, but these, man, are beefy. I think if you throw them, if you want a Longhorn that you can throw in forehand, these are the ones for you, but a little too much beef for me. I think if you go back and watch my testing out the Longhorn video, I was kind of shocked at how beefy they are. But again, if you're looking for a beefy Longhorn, they're really pretty swirls in this run, and they are beefy. It just wasn't what I was looking for. Like, look at the swirls on that one. This shelf's a little harder to get things off of, so I'm going to grab a few and then I'll talk about them. Okay, yeah, on this last shelf, I've got my idols, my goats, and my phoenixes. I just have the goats and the phoenixes on the bottom. 2 really beefy discs. I throw one phoenix has been in the bag forever, but don't have too many of those. Most of mine are glow because they're pretty sought after, and if I ever need really beefy discs, I know these will reliably be there. And then I have quite a few idols. I picked out a few. This second run lightweight idol, these are the ones with like mega dome, so still haven't quite worked one in my bag just because I've had a first run in there that's pretty flippy. But these have the better hand feel I'm looking for, so I'll probably start cycling some of those in. Also, another cool money foil. And then Sublime Idols, also one of my favorites. Haven't quite thrown this Sublime, the like Mega Soft Sublime yet. This is in the Mason Ford box. And I think I got another one somewhere else. These feel really good. Haven't had a chance to throw them, so I don't exactly know how they fly quite yet. But I do enjoy the hand feel of this Sublime, the regular Sublime Idols. I think the Sublime that comes from Prodigy is actually better than the Sublime that comes from MVP in my opinion. A little grippier, not quite as glossy, but still pretty similar flights, some of the more stable ones, and a nice stiff rim. So really enjoy the Sublime that's come out of Prodigy in both the Idols and the Pickles. And then here I've got a goat. It's a pretty cool goat. First run Apex, some nice swirls in it on the stamp machine. Again, these don't get a ton of throwing. I don't play enough to beat in goats to be what they should be. Also, my arm is not enough. So got some goats down here. Some swirly and regular goats to go. Okay, these are some of my favorite things in my testers and collection. I think I at one point posted a reel or a video, I can't remember, but basically I have a few actual prototype mint discs. This is a Bobcat, I believe. There's a jackalope, a Mustang, a grackle, a Prophet, a Freetail, and a Phoenix, which, shout out, the prototype Phoenix is actually throwable, so maybe one day they'll do a run of Phoenix that is still very beefy, but more Firebird-esque and not just like tilt level beef. It's a cool money foil team stamp. Anyways, these are my protos that, again, it's just nice, one, to have. Two, they're all throwers and been thrown quite a lot, so it's sometimes fun to compare like what the prototype of a disc was to kind of what it eventually came, especially the ones that have a lot of runs. They eventually get to what I think the prototype was going for, but it's fun to sometimes compare these, and they're just cool discs to have. So I'm gonna put them back on their shelf. Hope they don't fall. So, oh, I did forget. Up here in the top, I have all my Royal bullets, both the older runs I was putting with, and a lot of these like third run um, soft Royal. So these are the current putters I'm putting with. So I've got a bunch of backups up here and a few out in my backyard on my like putting stand, and then a bunch of Royal Pickles. One, just because they came out with so many different types of Royal Pickles, but also I thought I was going to switch to them. I still might. I love the feel. They're the beaded bullet that I always asked for, and so got a bunch up there. And then my favorite things in my collection, the queso soft pickles. These are so much fun, and then they drop these cool colors in the second run. I still need to get out and do a video comparing the first run pickle versus the second run queso pickle. Figured it would be a fun one. These are always fun to throw. I finally learned how to throw them. Not quite as well as Alan, but I can at least throw them kind of predictably. So those and all my other baseline or royal pickles are up there at the top. Then down here, I just got starting to amass kind of a collection of minis, especially now that Mint is stamping them. So I got some money foil on these. Nice little profit one. And then a bag. This was originally my chalk bag, but now it is basically just my foot loot and my loot bags. So here's the burrito bag that I kind of came up with the design when they were having like a contest or asking for designs. And then I got some fun ones in here. Here's a one of two custom ones. Chris is awesome. Every now and then when he gets some free time, which is rare nowadays, he'll hit me up and make some fun one-offs. And so I think he saw my shirt with my dog Chuma on it and was like, hey, can you send me some of those pictures? And so he made a bag that is just Chuma's face all over it. So that one's nice. Another on Dallas. What else I got in here? Just a lot of burritos and a lot of foot loot and a lot of sprinkled valley. But my hands will never be too slippery because I have got all the loot bags in there. But anyways, that's my large or most of my collection of mint discs. I think I was, after putting them in, I'm at just over 2,200. Obviously, this is not all of them, but this has gone long, so stick around for part two, and I'll take you to my garage where I've got my actual collection. There's quite some gems in there, so stick around to see that part. Anyways, thanks for watching. Let me know if there's specific discs that you would like, especially ones that I have plenty of. Definitely willing to make deals and sell them. Otherwise, these will just slowly go to CTPs and things, or work their way into my bag, or just be a nice backdrop and taking up space. But anyways, thanks again for watching. See you in part two.